the EU's economy is being pummeled with virtually every European country under some form of lockdown. Eurozone's finance ministers have been working towards a package to tackle the economic impact of the virus, but failed to reach an agreement today. A marathon 16-hour meeting, which ended this morning, has once again highlighted divisions in the bloc rather than moving it towards common ground. I'm joined now by Alberto Alemano, a professor of EU law at the HEC Business School in Paris. Alberto, thanks very much for joining us here on Euronews tonight. How much a risk of the EU's unity is there, considering the divisions amongst the Eurozone?
Well, this is a dramatic moment for Europe. It is pretty clear to everyone that we expect as European citizens to see solidarity and cooperation among our countries. This is not necessarily happening at the moment. It can happen in the past, but we see that there is a political and public debate that is expanding every single day. We see political leaders feeling the pressure not only of their own electorate, the Netherlands or in Germany, but also beyond the border. This is absolutely unprecedented. This is something that will be shaping the conversation of the Eurogroup. The finance ministers feel public opinion, feel the pressure, and know that all the options are still on the table. That's at least the information we can gather today. No option has been set aside. So there is still hope that we could come up with creative and extraordinary measures that have never been taken before, but they might justify and address the nature and the scale of this incredible challenge, which is a pandemic that caught by surprise political leaders.
Alberto, the real battle here seems to be between the richer countries in Northern Europe. So we're talking about the Nordic countries, we're also talking about the Netherlands here, and then the poorer countries in the south that have got a lot of debt, such as Italy and Spain. Is there any way that those two sides will be able to come together?
Well, I don't think this narrative of North and South captured the reality today. When you look at the countries that took the initiatives to ask for Eurobonds and Corona bonds, those countries include also Luxembourg, which is definitely not a country of the South, is certainly not a country which has major issues on public debt. So the truth is much more nuanced today. The countries that are asking for forms of mutualization of debt today are 13, no longer 19. So basically, the majority of countries sitting in the Eurogroups today, but there are some recalcitrant states, and those states certainly come from the north. We are talking about the Netherlands, but it's not the only one. Also, Germany doesn't seem very enthusiastic about the idea of embracing new forms of emergency and mutualization in these particular circumstances. So I think it's important to realize that the ones that were open during the debt crisis of 2010, 2012 are still open. There is still some revanchism, but the nature of the challenge is very different. This is not an asymmetric challenge or shock, but this is symmetric. It's something that is basically confronting every single country in the same way, in the same gravity. And there is a level of interdependence within the monetary union, but also beyond that, which is economic in nature, that asks for some new solutions as urgently as possible. So even if there's a deadlock today, I think it's better to wait and not to rush into decisions when the emotions are high, to let many more ideas to be discussed in the public conversation and to shape what the finance minister could decide under the leadership of our top prime ministers and head of state and government.
Alberto Alemano, EU law expert.